It is Wednesday, Lisa.
Happy hump day.
It's friggin' Wednesday. Fired Up Live in studio. August 30th. August is over. Lisa, how are you feeling about summer coming to a close?
I'm not looking forward to it.
Well, I am.
You are?
I got a new Michael Myers mask. I got a new shirt that says No Lives Matter with Michael Myers on it. It's going to be a good year.
So does that mean you're going to come to work in a Michael Myers mask?
Every day in October. We should make that a thing in the industry. Everybody who goes in, technicians, office, everyone goes in a mask.
No.
All right.
Let's get to the show.
Let's get to the show. So you're here fired up. It's 2 p.m. Eastern on a Wednesday. You're here with us. We have a very, very exciting episode today. We're going to be chopping it up, talking about service companies, owning what it's like on the operational owning side of it, from the how important and how amazing it is on the tech side of it, all the good, the bad, the ugly, everything in between it all. We're going to bring some guests in. So without further ado, let's bring in Josh Zolin. Let's bring in Jason Latimer. Let's bring in Pat Finley. And these guys are going to introduce themselves individually. You probably already all know them already. But for the 7 or 8 people that are watching right now, they're saying, who are these guys? Let's start up at for me, it's the top right, Josh Zolin. Josh, let everybody know who you are and what you do.
Hey, guys, and thanks for the invite, Rich, as always, man. Super, super excited to be here, especially in the presence of these guys down here, man. This should be an awesome, awesome conversation. I'm Josh. For those who don't know me, I'm the CEO of Windy City Equipment out here in Phoenix. Got a few branches, Phoenix, Tucson, Albuquerque, and Houston, Texas. Got my roots as a technician. I was in the field for about 10 years, came up the ranks and started to grow the business over the years, and landed on the Inc. 5000 list of fastest growing companies in America 3 times in a row, 18, 19, and 20. Also used that opportunity to publish a book called Blue is the New White, because of all the incredible opportunities that exist in these industries that people just don't know, who these guys are also big advocates for as well. And that's a little bit about me, guys. Thanks for the platform, my friend.
Love it, Josh. Thank you, man. And we'll go down to the bottom right for me, which is Jason, who we got to let introduce himself, because Jason, you're in the middle of a hurricane. So introduce yourself and let everybody know who you are and what you do.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Josh, Rich, Pat. My name is Jason Latimer. I'm out of Tampa, Florida. I'm a South boy, and I've been in the industry here for about 12 years and whatnot, and I work on hot, cold, beverage, everything. If it has to do with facilities from outside, inside, I'm all about it. That's my life. That's my go-to and my fuel. And again, I want to thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to be on here and to do what I like to do, which is represent the industry, the food equipment industry, the HVAC industry, and let's keep it sexy and let's keep it moving.
Hell yeah, I love it. And last, certainly not least, you guys know him with Commercial Kitchen Chronicles, his podcast, Pat Finley, also a GP Tech. So Pat, I don't want to do it for you. Right under me here, Pat, let everybody know who you are, what you do.
So my name is Pat Finley. 17 plus year veteran in the food service repair industry. I love this industry. It's my passion. It's my drive. I work for General Parts in Indianapolis, Indiana. I have a podcast. I kind of started it just to out of jealousy, I guess. And it's kind of grown into more. It's kind of have a purpose now. I'm trying to spread the word on what it is to be a food service, repair technician. I've got some great co-hosts. Jason just happens to be one of them. We got Rich Ortega. We got Dusty comes in. We got a good group of guys, and we talk to people in the food service repair industry. We talk to other techs, managers, owners. We had a chef on. We're open to anybody, and we'll reach out to other trades as well. But our main focus is sharing what we do and getting that out there, and trying to like Jason said, bringing sexy back.
Love it. And so we're going to jump into some things here, but before we do, I do want to make mention we have a sponsor for today's episode, which is Visalogics. So if we're going to check that out, I don't know if that's going to be scrolling down at the bottom. So you can check scrolling down at the bottom of your screen. You'll see you can go ahead over to Visalogics.com. We got Jay and the team over there. There's something over there they're working on that they have called Tether It. Might be something of interest to you if you're in the service industry. We know technology is super important. So thank you to Team Visalogics. Go check them out. That'll be scrolling down at the bottom of the screen throughout the episode. So guys, we'll jump into it. We're probably going to be chopping this up for the next 40 minutes or so. So everyone that's here, sit back, relax, have a coffee, a beer, or whiskey, whatever your choice is at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Wednesday. If you got a problem, that's on you. Lisa, you want to pour that beer? So we have the topic at hand is starting and owning a service company, and also versus becoming a full-time technician in this industry. I think there's, I think everyone on this is going to agree that this industry is booming from every which angle. There's really no wrong way to go, but there's definitely ins and outs and pros and cons and ups and downs. Let's talk about it. So for Josh, I'm going to jump in with Josh. Question one: running a service company requires a unique set of skills. Maybe describe your journey a little on how you became the owner operator of your business.
Yeah, sure. You made me feel like what's his name from what's that movie? Anyway, uh, so listen, my career is a little unique in how it started. I didn't actually get started in this industry till I was about 22 years old, 21, something like that. And I started off as a technician, right? As I said, my dad was the foreman for a bakery in Chicago for a long time. Before that, he was a stuntman. I was a stuntman. Many of you probably already know that if you know my history or read my book. But after that, he had moved to Arizona to start his own business. He didn't know shit about. Oh shoot, sorry. He didn't know anything. Sorry.
Don't you worry.
He didn't know anything about restaurant equipment, but he knew a lot about bakery equipment. So anyway, he was a one-man show for a couple of years, and I had called him up one day when I got tired of Hollywood, and I was like, Dad, I don't know what you do for a living, but I know there's opportunity in it, but I don't know anything about it. So let me come out and work with you side by side and teach me what you know. And he did, and my dad's a super old school guy, no handouts, no anything. I was making like $11 an hour at best, for the majority of my career, actually. And if we break it down, that's probably what I still make today, given how many hours I put in. But I came up that way, and it was important, Rich, and as Pat and Jason probably know, the value of understanding what it means to work with your hands and the relatability that causes, in the growth of a company, to be able to connect with your team that you build is imperative. So that's what I did. That's how I got my start. And then, once I got my arms around that, I was able to start tackling the P&Ls, the quoting and estimating, the dispatching, all the back end stuff, all the financials, and I don't have a lick of college under my belt. Well, that's a lie. I have a half a semester of entrepreneurship one, but the teacher was an idiot. So I walked out of that class and never went back. So anyway, I had to learn it all kind of the hard way, but I got to say that, the best way that I was able to gain this knowledge is by meeting people and talking to people and, just understanding that I was never the smartest one in the room and I didn't want to be. And, I picked up reading, started to read a lot of books, stuff like that. So over the years, I've developed the skill set mostly by implementing everything that I learned. Right. And doing it and being in the face of it, in the thick of it, because that's what you have to do. When you take the gloves off of being a technician and start to step into that leadership role, it's a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was long-winded.
No. I mean, that's we want to pull it all out of you. So and for me, this, it's, I don't know, I wasn't a stuntman, so it's not that similar. But of course, my father did start the business here, and I've basically been at 12 years old. He had me in here breaking boxes and sweeping, and so I mean, you fast forward, and I'll never say I'm some kind of a technician of any sorts. I did technician work when I was 17 to about 21. And when I say technician work, I was riding around with one of our senior guys. I was doing fry pot change outs. We were doing convection motor replacement. I was doing a lot of those things. But really, really what intrigues me, and to this day, I love building business. I love solving problems. I love putting the puzzle together and figuring things out. I love the pressure. It just excites me. So that's, I fell in love with the operational end of it when I said, listen, I want to come in, I want to learn. And I sat with my father up there for many, many years, right above here. And yeah, I mean, held every job in the place, did the warranty billing, did the regular billing, parts, ran service, dispatch, all that stuff. And now of course we have a team and we're building and we're growing, and this is what I love. This is everything to me. So I want definitely want, actually, before I keep going, Lisa, do we have anything from the
I mean,
the people?
of course we do. But I do want let's ask Jason
Okay,
what
so
he
we'll wait.
thinks.
Let's jump in. Let's jump over this. So, Pat, let's go to you. So, being a technician, of course, is a hands-on role, especially in 2023. And I see a lot of your posts and a lot of things. I mean, you're a guy that takes super big pride in his work. You're the go the above and beyond kind of guy. I see that in everything that you do. So, what would you say you find most rewarding within your position, from troubleshooting, repairing, installing, and just everything that embodies being a tech?
Most rewarding is just, I said it time and time again, you go into a facility, a restaurant, a school or someplace, and they can't open up or they can't serve, or they're worried about losing $10,000-$20,000 worth of food. And you go in and you fix that. And just the look on their face, when you come out, like, hey, I know what it is, I can get it going. And then when you get it fixed, that look of despair or worry goes away and they're smiling, they're happy again, and it's just an amazing feeling, just helping those people out. I've talked to people who do residential stuff and they say the same thing, but I'm like, I've never done residential. I've just done commercial, and it's a cool feeling to go in. And plus, it kind of feeds my ego a little bit. I mean, I go in there and somebody can't fix it, and I get called behind them, and I go in there and fix it. And I'm like, yeah, I did that. But yeah, pretty much. But I mean, just be able to help people out, man. It's a rewarding career. It's I never thought of it that way, and it took me years to think of it that way. But thanks to some people like Jason that have expressed it and explained it that way, it's become a lot more clear, and my vision's gotten a lot better when it comes to that.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, residential definitely has its place, and for us, I mean, obviously we're keeping businesses. You guys are keeping the businesses running. I mean, that means employees get to keep working. That means customers get fed, and there's business being done. So it's, I don't think that's why it's good to shine the light in the things that we're talking, because I don't think people realize how important food equipment service techs are to society. Jason, what about you? What's most rewarding for you in all the things that you do, from troubleshooting, repairing, and maintaining and everything?
It has a lot to do with my hospitality history and experience. So to be in a restaurant and to know that I've been in all those positions, whether it's hosting, cooking, managing, serving, and know that I can be, the empathy is just there automatically because I've gone through all that. I know what it feels like to work on equipment that's half working and have to work that much harder to maintain, the orders, or working in a kitchen or a restaurant that has, half the AC or no AC and sweat, but still have to put forward that customer service and hospitality for our guests. So, it does feel very good to come in clutch, especially I like to use the little hashtag, lunchtime hero, because you get to come in clutch. You get, that most restaurants, either their lunch is their boom, or they start a little later and their dinner's their boom. But yeah, definitely coming in, I think the most rewarding part of it is the relationships and knowing that, I'm on both sides of this. I was on their side and I'm on this side, and it's super rewarding. You can only express how rewarding it is other than just being there and experiencing how you bring, joy to the customer, joy to their guest, and being able to help that customer provide what they're known for and whatnot, and giving their customers the satisfaction of going somewhere that means something very special to them, a special dish, a special moment, a special occasion, and things like that. So
Yeah. I mean, so many times, you sit there, and I think the regular person, you're sitting in a steakhouse and you see that steak come out. I know I often think like, I wonder if like, especially when you're traveling on vacation, I'm like, I wonder if there was a technician in there. And I wonder if that broiler was down 20 minutes ago. Like, things are happening behind the scenes, like, that nobody thinks about or knows about.
yeah.
And there's oftentimes, like you said, I like that. I like that lunchtime hero. I like that. I mean, that's what's happening. It's happening every day. It's like, I go back to the Mike Rowe thing. It's like, guys in the trades, you guys, you make civilized lives possible. It's a beautiful thing, and you're getting to help people every single day. At least, again.
I'll bring in a question here.
Yes.
So we have the question: what do each of you find is the most commonly overlooked basic maintenance best practice in the environments you service?
Oh,
It's a mouthful.
okay. Either one of you guys want to tackle? Anyone want to tackle that?
I mean, just basic. I mean, a lot of times we go in and something's just not plugged in, or you got an airflow restriction. So do the simple things. Check, make sure it's plugged in. Make sure your gas is plugged in. I do this all the time on call. I'll probably get in trouble for saying this, but a customer will call in and be like, "Hey, we got 4 fryers," and let them come on. I'm like, "Did you guys clean last night?" They're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Do me a favor, pull it out and push on that gas hose real hard, and you can just hear it click. You can hear it over the phone if they have the phone there. Click and it comes on. I'm like, turn it on. It's like, oh my God, you saved the day. And I was like, hey, just remember if when you do need us, call us back and I'll come out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say dirty cooling fans, man. When I was in kitchens, like I serviced a lot of conveyor ovens, convection ovens. Oh, hey, check that out. Whoever that is knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah. For myself as a plant maintenance manager, it's really just seeing locations that are just not kept up very well and whatnot. So it's kind of stepping in it themselves. You try to offer them, some advice and but people have budgets and whatnot, and you guys can probably speak to that better than me. But yeah, just trying to emphasize preventative maintenance and maintaining equipment and treating equipment like it's your own, because I'll be darned if I catch one of my kids leaving the refrigerator just wide open, or the front door open with the AC on. It's just common. It's just something that you need to reiterate, because people sometimes don't want to treat things like it belongs to them. They just kind of they're caught up in the routine and keeping it hustling and stuff like that. But a lot of times I find myself, frozen evaporators or dirty coils or gaskets or doors not closed all the way that does a lot of this stuff. So.
Oh yeah. And what about the combi ovens? I mean, with the onslaught of those in the market at this point, you just see so many just pouring chicken grease down these drains and just like pulling out. You see the guys pulling out all this. It's like, and you tell them over and over again, look, we're going to be back here in 3 days or less if you do this again. And guess what? We get the same call. It's like, and it's the same people over and over again.
It's job security.
Like, hey, listen, I always when the guys will call me, Rich, what are we going to do about it? I'm like, listen, shake that man's hand. All right, that is job security. He's right. What are you going to bring, something, Lisa?
Yeah, I just wanted to take that question and turn it into kind of like a service company versus technician point of view. So as a service company, is there anything that Malachi Parts and Service and Windy City can do better in terms of like reducing those nuisance calls? And on the technician side, is there anything the techs can do out in the field that might help with that?
I'll let someone say, I'm willing to bet that we're already we're already doing it. It's just a lot of this stuff will fall back to the user, to the end user, to the customer. We can only do so much. But Josh, I don't know, anything on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that we've always tried to do as we were growing the business, even when it was just me and my dad, running service, is just educate the customer, right? Kind of like Pat said, ask them questions. Did you clean? Is that one of them? But also, is it plugged in? Is the breaker on? Just little basic questions like that. So we're not going out, and charging for something that they can easily do themselves. And that does include, basic maintenance. Cleaning the cooling fans, right, is a good example. You can have us in, and I'll be more than happy to charge you to do that. But, you're capable of doing it as well. Your staff is capable of doing that. Maybe not getting up on the roof and cleaning the coils, you know what I'm saying? But but cleaning a cooling fan and brushing off that kind of stuff, keeping that clean and breathing. We always try to educate the customer in that scenario. And there's even situations where we won't charge if we go out there and find something that simple. However, if it happens again and again, we still have a business to run, and maybe that's the only way they're going to learn is if there's a consequence attached to it. By means of, having to pay the bill. So, and I don't mean to sound brass, but, that's kind of just the reality of the situation. But we try to do what we can. And I think you probably have the same mindset there, Rich. And I guess these guys do too.
Yeah. I mean, we that's all part of it. You try to educate the best you can. And recently we have one of our senior techs off the road, and he's in here. He's our new in-house tech support manager. And one of the meetings we just had was going through a lot of the unassigned calls as they're coming in throughout the day to kind of get ahead of it and have him kind of looking at these calls. And I said, listen, when these calls come in, and because as a technician especially, all you got to do is read, like you guys said, all these fryers are not coming on. There's no way that there's not a gas pressure problem or a gas off issue or something going on there that we could probably get ahead of. Let's get those. Truth be told, like Josh, like you said, no charge. These are nuisance calls. We're not interested in charging you and going a roll on that. We could be doing something more serious down the road. So what about you guys? I mean, obviously you guys are in the trenches, Jason and Pat. I mean, I'm sure you're telling customers everything which way to Sunday to help them.
Yeah, I look out. I mean, I look around, try to point out things to customers. Hey, you notice that your gas gets sagging. I'll put it back on. Make sure gas is on there. If you can't get it back in, go ahead and call and get your gas in order. I look to see something combi's over a drain. Make sure it's not sucking in steam. I just look around, see what's going on in the kitchen, but I make sure I educate the customer, like everyone else has said. Explain to the customer why they don't want these things. If you go out of an oven and it's tripping out on the electronic compartment high limit, you clean those filters. I show the customer, hey, you see these? Do you know these are back here? Most of the time, well, no, we had no idea. This oven's been in 9 months, and it's got a filter back there, and it's completely clogged. So, I'll clean it, and I'll say, hey, when these dry, slide them back in. But I want you guys to pull these out once a week and clean them, and that's going to keep us from coming out. It's going to keep your oven lasting longer and running better. And then, it just comes down to, like, the guys that install it sometimes don't tell the customers, or they don't know. They just put it in place and go, and it's on, on to the next one. So just educate your customers. It goes a long way, man.
Yes, it does. Jason, anything on that?
There's not much more I can add to the relationship, the education, and the customer service. Those three things go in hand, and it depends on the technician. What kind of communicator they are, and if they want to communicate. Because some technicians want to get in and out. Not everyone's an outrovert, and some are introverts. However, like Pat's a self-proclaimed introvert, but he communicates very well because it comes from his heart. Some things will overcome, some shyness and things like that. And it's where you want to be with your customer and the type of relationship you want to have.
Yeah.
I say that uniform is my superhero costume, so I'm a totally different person. I get that uniform on, man.
So someone commented that on the company side, there should be PM pushes, and on the tech side is where the on-site education comes in.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
Agree. Sure. Absolutely. So we'll keep this going. I have a bunch of questions. We'll try to get to them all. If we don't, we'll just keep the conversation going because that's the way it goes. So Josh, as a business owner, you're responsible for the operations. What are some key challenges you faced, and how do you balance managing the company while ensuring top-notch service for clients and keeping employees happy? That's a whole loaded question.
That's basically my job description.
Yeah.
It's not easy, and I think you said the magic word there. It's balance, right? And you're gonna have to recognize that some days you're gonna have more wins than losses with your employees. Some days you're gonna have more losses than wins with your customers, and some days you're gonna break even on your operations. And it's just finding that balance and understanding that.
Yeah.
Every day is going to present its own specific and unique challenges. So you have to make sure that you're adaptable. And I think that's probably the main thing, right? Is being able to adjust on the fly. Of course, there's a lot of strategizing in this position and collaborating amongst, leadership teams and stuff like that, depending on how big your company is. But you don't know what the day is going to bring. Right. And I mean, I've got stories for days of, things that I dealt with that I never thought that I would deal with. Right. Accidents and things like that just come out of the blue, and you have to real time figure out a solution. And not only that, Rich, but, in a position like mine, right, there's an expectation attached to that. You have the entire company looking at you and expecting you to have that solution, so it's important how you handle it. And it's okay to handle it by saying, I don't know, but you have to communicate that, right? Kind of like how we've been talking about communication. It all boils down to that. It's okay to not know how to do something, but you are expected to figure it out. And that was my dad's famous line, even when he was teaching me how to fix restaurant equipment, right? I mean, I can't tell you how many times I called him, hey, Dad, I can't figure out this heat lamp. They got 50 of them wired together, and there's like 200 wires in this. Figure it out. Click. You know, I mean, that was I come from the figure it out philosophy, right? And you know, but there's value in that. There is extreme value in that when you sit in a position like this, trying to juggle not just the equipment that you're trying to fix every day, but the organization that you're trying to build every day. That's a culmination of equipment and processes and procedures and people and customers and vendors. It's all cut from the same cloth. It's just different scale.
Yeah, yeah. You know, it's a juggling act, right? I mean, you know, you got a lot of balls in the air every day. You know, you want to make everybody happy. Obviously, you know that's the impossible task. Anyone will tell you. But you know, it's not always about just making everyone happy. It's really what's doing best for the business every day, right? And the people that are part of the team. So it's yeah. I mean, it's every day you come in. You know, you just don't know. You know, you plan on doing certain things, and all of a sudden you're doing something like I had no idea I was going to be doing this today. I don't know, Mike. Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face, right? Every day is different, you know.
I love that.
And yeah, so it's interesting. And again, you know, I love it, right? I love the pressure. I love that. It really keeps me going. So guys, jumping into your side of the business, what opportunities have you found for skill development, certification, and advancement within your field? Jason, you want to take this one first?
Yeah. So I would say just being, self-driven and wanting to, lean on others that are experienced. Not everything's going to come from a technical college. Not everything's going to come from, people pushing you to want to develop and be better. You got to want to do that internally. You got to want to. You're going to be the one that needs to advocate and for yourself and your future. So when it comes to looking for ways to grow, you got to do some research. You got to reach out to other technicians. I have no shame in my game in reaching across to competitors and whatnot. Like I've called Rich, before I even met him in person on a 3PX grill, and he's from another company and he's states away. But there are resources out there, but you got to want to find those resources. You can't expect, there's a level of hand holding when you get into this, and as there should be for safety and whatnot. But at some point, you're going to have to take responsibility for your development, and you're going to have to push your if you're not self-employed, you're going to have to push your employer. I was sent to a CFESA school in the Carolinas for like a week and a half. I had to explain why that was important. This was years ago when I first started. I had to explain why that was important. I had to kind of give them the why, how much, and the ROI for them and whatnot. And I did, because it was important to me. But nobody was going to do that for me, and I've going through that, I've paved the way, and I've got the information and the know-how, and I can turn around and say, okay, this is what I've learned and this is how I'm applying it. This is important for other people. So that opens a pathway for other technicians who are newer into the industry, but somebody needs to take that step forward and start blazing this trail. Not everybody is it's not going to be handed to you. Some companies, I'm sure they have great training programs that are from over the years, and they've figured out, okay, these are things that our guys need to know. But there's always newer things and other things, and I've asked to go to industry related conferences and things like that because there was other aspects to learn other than technical that has to do with my personal development as leader or a speaker, or how I want to give to our community. And again, you just got to advocate for yourself, and the things are out there. It's plenty. The internet's free at this point, so.
For
Yeah,
now.
no, I for now, I love that. Pat, what about you? What opportunities have you found for skill development, certification, and advancement within the industry?
Everything's out there. You have to go after it. I mean, I work for a big, huge company, and if you sit back and you're happy with what you have, that's all you're going to be. But if you look out there, I mean, there's opportunities with CFESA, there's opportunities with manufacturers, there's opportunities with outside, things that aren't necessarily our industry, but they're going to help you out. So you just got to be able to look out there. I mean, any training you want, if you're not willing to do it on your own, or if your work's not willing to do it, see what you can do about doing it on your own. But I mean, it's out there everywhere. You just got to find it. And some of it's pretty easy. You can go to any manufacturer, And most of them have their training stuff on there, or you can email a service department and they'll put you in contact with, who does their training, stuff like that. But I found all kinds of stuff, between Cefesa, all the stuff they offer, and just some other things. It's all out there. You just got to find it. It can be a little rough, and it takes some convincing sometimes, depending on who you work for or your manager, stuff like that. I mean, because it is a huge cost. If we send a guy to class, they used to say $1,500 a day in lost revenue, but that don't include the, what you're paying the guy, the travel, all other stuff. So you got to think about that. A lot of times guys just think, oh, I just want to go to class, I just want to go to this class, and they think of it as, a vacation. They're not working, they're getting paid, they're sitting around all day. But you got to take it serious as well, and you got to show that investment is worth it. So,
yeah, and I know you're passionate about training. I see you, posting and talking about it. This is not really part of this questioning, but even for both sides of the fence, right? When you're looking at operations and you're running the company, and you have senior guys on the road like you that care tremendously, not just about the company but about the industry. I saw something, Pat, that I think you posted. Kind of about technicians riding with senior guys, but just because putting in with someone just because they live nearby, right? Just kind of putting them in a van with someone that doesn't necessarily is the best. So there's different. I saw that, and I don't disagree with you, Josh. I'm gonna come back to everyone, but Josh, training. What are you talking about? Skills and advancement and getting guys, trained up proper. Are you riding guys with senior guys to start out of the gate? Is that how you're doing it?
Yes. Yeah. We've got a couple of different ways we do it, but that's definitely one piece of the process. And I think it was Jason that said it the best, right? It's about the ROI, right? And Pat, you were talking about the communication on that, and going and really pushing your employer to see the value in that. And that's where that balance lives, right? Because let's be honest with ourselves and with the audience. The point of having a business is to make money, and everybody in the business, it's their job to provide value. It's their job to provide an ROI, not cost the company money, because at that point, that person or employee is no longer needed. And there's a bunch of different ways, right, to generate a return. Some of it's soft, some of it's hard, but it all needs to be there. So that explanation piece of the ROI is key. As far as training, in particular for new technicians entering into the industry, I think it's really important to focus on the fundamentals even before they're put with the senior technician. And that's kind of what we have set up. Our PM department is almost like our apprentice department, right? Where people come in, they learn the basics of what it means to be a service technician, right? And we hope to instill, even during that process, some of the important soft skills, which maybe we could get into in a little bit. And in my opinion, almost, if not equally as valuable as the hard skills when you're talking about success in this industry. Right. But then after they advance up and out of the PM department, that's when they ride with the senior technician, right, who is a designated technician. Yeah, to Pat's point, it's not somebody who lives closest to them. It's we have leads, designated leads, and they're leads for a reason. And part of that expectation of them is being able to transfer their knowledge, right, and teach in a way that is conducive to learning. Right. And that can mean a ton of different things to a ton of different people. People learn in different ways. People teach in different ways. But, it is a skill. And I would consider that a soft skill, a very important one, in being able to, get what out of your head and into somebody else's for the future of everything, for the future of this industry. Right.
Yeah, no, 100%. And for the training for us too, it's obviously it's always a gamble, especially when you have somebody that's just coming in. We have a couple of young guys training right now, and talking about to Pat's post about that. I don't disagree. And sometimes it's so challenging from my seat, because I'm saying I really want him to ride with this guy, but he's an hour and a half away from this guy, and the guys that he's nearby are really not at the level they should be training somebody right now. So it's one of those tough. What I actually did with this young guy that we have that brought on, I gave him a company vehicle, and I have him actually. I'm putting some money out to do this, but I have him meetings with the guy that I want him to be with, because I'd rather do it right out of the gate and from the beginning. So we're investing a little extra in this one particular. So yeah, I mean, and we have to do sometimes the company does take on extra expenses just to hopefully, especially when you see something in an individual that you believe is gonna excel at some point in the next couple of years. You take that leap. Lisa, is there anything?
Yeah, just because Josh mentioned the soft skills, I wanted to bring in this question here. So for all four of you, what's the number one soft skill that you feel is invaluable in the food service industry?
The number one soft skill. I don't know. Who wants to jump on that one first? I might have to think about that.
I would say listening.
Okay. Yeah. Actually, that's probably top. Yeah, at the top, because you go ahead. I'll let you go jump on that.
Yeah. I'd like to expand on that because I agree 100%. I group listening in with communication, right? And a lot of people haven't been educated to think that listening is part of communicating. When they think about communicating, they think about what's coming out of their mouth, right? What's coming out of their head and not into it. But listening is probably the most important part of communicating, because oftentimes, we listen to respond. We don't listen to understand. And if we start to listen to understand, then we can respond with respect and authority and information, and empathy and compassion and even candor, if that's what's needed, but when we listen specifically to respond, we've already decided what we're going to say while the other person is talking. We're not listening. It's not possible when you're trying to think about what it is you're going to say after. So I really love that answer, and I just group it in with communication as a whole.
Yeah. Thanks, Josh.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, right?
Yep, it's definitely listening. I mean, I used to be the type of guy I'd hear what I wanted to hear and respond what he said, and it took me a long time to realize that there's more to the conversation than that. Slow down and try to process what they're telling you, because oftentimes we're in a busy environment. We go into a kitchen and they're just rattling some stuff off, but there's little things that you may be able to pick up on that may help you out as far as fixing it or just understanding what the customer's going through. So definitely listening and taking your time before you respond, because I'm guilty of rushing back on that, as you guys have seen.
Yeah, and I would say empathy. These people are calling, they're reaching out for help. They're never not. Sometimes you get those irate people and they're angry and they're upset, and they got 86 this and 86 that, and we're backed up, so maybe it took us an extra day to get there or whatever it might be. So when you walk into these places, and even for us on the front lines of the phones when they're calling and checking on calls, we have to have empathy, understand. I talk about it upstairs all the time. I mean, these people are looking for help. We have to put yourself in their shoes. They're running a business. Things are chaotic all around them. Their fryer's down, their main combi oven, whatever might be happening. Put yourself in their shoes, and as you're listening, give them what they need. What they need. They give them all the proper information. Give them the understanding. We got your back. We're here to help. Yeah.
I'm going to bring in another question here too, because it's relevant to what you're saying.
Yes.
So Jeff asks, everyone talks about tech shortage, which is the largest challenge in the trades. But what do you look for in support staff who are in the position of day-to-day operations between customers, techs, and management?
Yeah, well, we are all looking for techs. We need to figure out a way to clone Pat and Jason. If anybody out there is a scientist, we need to figure this out. But yeah, Josh, what do you think?
So kind of similar to what we talked about before. I look for people who embrace the juggle, right? Who can handle multiple things at one time. We try to keep everybody in their lane, right? We try to keep everything. Hey, this is what you're responsible for. But in this industry, we all know there's so much crossover, which is why communication is so important, right? That's why we brought that up. So I think that adaptability is huge. Loyalty is big. I don't know about you guys, but even in our admin positions, there's so many ins and outs to the business. It takes a long time to teach, right? It takes even longer to get comfortable. So the more turnover you have, I mean, tech turnover is terrible, right? We have all felt that, and that's really hard. But, we don't talk nearly enough about admin turnover and what that costs the company and the technicians. That's our support staff. Right. Yeah. I mean, the techs lean on these guys and girls every day to help them do their jobs. And so if there's constantly somebody new in that seat, it's really, really difficult to keep in the flow of things. It's really difficult to keep the communication on point. So loyalty is huge. And that's just to name a few. I mean, I could go on and on, right, of what makes a great admin employee. But those are some of the important ones.
Yeah, and I'll say, not to put anybody's company on blast or anything. My company, we have our challenges here. Believe me, like for Jason and Pat, like how important is that office support to you guys? How from what you're getting the field, you need. I'll just leave it at that. How important is that to you guys?
You want to go first, Pat?
Yeah, it's huge. I will tell you, I am not a very easy person to get along with. I'm hard headed. I'm bullheaded. I get a little bit of attitude sometimes, but I mean well. But they got to be able to de-escalate situations. Between customers, between the techs as well. I mean, we're fellow employees, but sometimes we get worked up, or we get in a bad mood or whatever, and they got to be able to kind of work us down. So for them to be able to listen and understand is a huge part of it too. I think that's the biggest thing I can take away from my office staff is being able to de-escalate and calm the guys down and hey, work with us. If they're willing to listen and understand and work with us, it's a lot better relationship.
Yeah, it's a great answer.
So I would compare a good dispatcher to a primary doctor. My primary doctors knows my history. They know what I mean. They know my idiosyncrasies, and they know how I work. And it's good to have a good relationship with your dispatcher and the admin, because getting someone else or a lot of turnover, always getting someone new. It's like dealing with the nurse practitioner or or the physician's assistant. They see everybody. They're the jack of all trades, but you need that. You really want that relationship with your dispatcher, and I've always looked at him as my primary doctor.
I don't like doctors, so where does that leave us?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Sick.
Well played, sir. That's a really great comparison. That's the first time I've heard that, but man, that's
me too. I love
awesome.
it.
There's a reason to have this guy around, man. He is smart.
Yeah.
He does okay, doesn't he?
I love it. At least anything else going on there? I see a lot of stuff.
So
there's a lot of stuff coming in, guys.
There are a lot of comments and things, but I think you should continue to keep the conversation moving for the sake of time.
All right, what's time? Okay, so well, listen, I want to talk to more with Jason and Pat. So the industry is evolving, guys, and how do you see the role of a full-time technician evolving with the emergence of new technologies and changes? I've talked to different guys, and with robotics, and we don't do that and stuff like that. What's kind of your thoughts on what the role of a full-time technician in this industry actually is today, and the emergence of new technologies and customer expectations? Either one of you guys, Jason, you want to jump?
Yeah, I would say that we, as a technician and as a company, we really have to stay up on the emerging technology, because, our company that I work for, we're playing around with different technologies. I'll leave it at that. But a lot of companies are embracing technologies like AI for dispatching and trying to diagnose things quicker. People are using robotics for serving and making pizzas and different things like that. And the emerging technology, it's bigger than just that conversation, because people are afraid of, white collar. People are afraid and artists and things like that of AI coming and taking their jobs and stuff like that. We need to stay on top of that, because, our country in general, the infrastructure, there's a crisis going on. And if you're afraid, we used to say, oh, well, as a blue collar technician, my work isn't going to be outsourced or sent overseas. But, and I'll say this very lightly, not to sound like a nationalist or anything like that, but, there's nothing stopping a quick pen from Congress to have a bunch of technicians who don't have American flags on their uniforms right here in our kitchens. So you need to stay up on the technology, because the work's going to get done, whether it's by us or by somebody else. Don't be afraid of it just leaving. Be afraid of it being imported. So I'll just leave it at that.
Interesting take. Yeah, I like that. Pat, what do you think on that?
I think we got to be constantly evolving, constantly learning new stuff. I mean, there's a lot of guys that are complacent. I mean, I've got guys who've been doing this 40 years. They hate the phone. They hate the dispatch software. They hate doing notes and that. They'd rather go back to pen and paper. But the way technology's going, you got to be ready to embrace it, accept it, excel at it. So if you get a chance to learn something new and you want to do this for an extended period of time, you better be the one that's focusing, hey, I want this training. I want to know how to do this. I want to be the guy that fixes the robots. I want to be the guy that, when people have problems with the software, they call me and I can walk them through it. So you want to be that guy. So, I mean, you can be complacent, just get by, but I'm not trying to get left behind, man. I'm trying to be on the leader.
Hell yeah. Yeah. And I look to both of you guys, honestly, as like, the epitome of what leadership is from a technician standpoint, and you look at today's, and Josh, you could talk about, how you feel about this too. I mean, for me, a technician is so much more than just a guy that fixes or a girl that fixes stuff, right? I mean, you walk in there, you are the doctor, right? You're there to make things right and make things better. You're the therapist sometimes, you're involved in technology now. It's not just a tool belt with a screwdriver. I mean, it's so diverse, the 2023 technician. And I think that's really what's exciting to portray to young guys and girls that are looking to do this, because it's not just that anymore. And you do have those guys. You get that kickback. Why do I got to take picture and video? Right? Because we obviously use XOI as well, and I know Josh does. And I don't know if you guys are using something similar or that, but there's pushback on the technology. Why do we have to take pictures and video? It just doesn't make sense. And why do we have to go to the tablet? I want the paper. There's so many things. It's because we have to continue. Like you said, we have to evolve. We have to be at the cutting edge. We have to be at the top of our game, because someone else is going to come and do it if it's not us, right, Jason? Like you said. So I don't know. Any thoughts on that, guys?
I agree. I like to think of technicians as the heroes, right, behind the curtain of civilization, and they truly are heroes, right? I've lived it. I've got some guys on my team that, I mean, it's like the Navy SEALs of civilization, right? I mean, just in the trenches all day. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, a technician's job is to fix the equipment. So I understand the frustrations with, why do we got to check in and check out? Why do we have to put this information here and there? Why do we have to take pictures? Why do we have to take video? I get it, man. I was out there. I lived it. That's just another step. To your point, Rich, it's not going away, right? It's become part of the job, right? And these jobs and these careers were hard to begin with. Right? Fixing the equipment, especially as the equipment evolves, that's a difficult task. There's a reason why so few people do this type of work, right? It takes a level of intelligence that people don't understand. So when you start to pile stuff on top of that, these jobs, man, these technicians, I mean, they truly are heroes for everything that they fix, everybody that they talk to, everything that they communicate, and forgive me, but all the shit that they take sometimes, I mean, it's a lot, right? Yeah. To Pat's point, that's why he values a dispatcher that can talk him off a ledge, right? Because it's important to have that understanding and that empathy.
Yeah. Anything coming in, Lisa?
There's so many comments, like I mentioned. This has been such an incredible conversation. Let's see. So just the last few, keeping pace with new technologies, but also being able to see something new and say, I see what you did there. Basic mechanics and physics hasn't changed. This person said, I started out asking the kitchen to borrow a phone before everyone had cell phones, asking them, can I use the fax machine so I could send an invoice to the shop. That's wow. Yeah. So, amazing. No, we're so much better off than that.
I remember those days.
Yeah, I could go back and it'll take me an hour to go through all the comments. So I'll just say that thank you guys for commenting on this conversation. It has been incredible. Rich, I think you should ask the last question that we have on our thing, and then I want to ask a question. And yes.
All right. Well, listen, thanks, Lisa. She's keeping it moving. So listen, collaboration between service companies and technicians is crucial. Before I go further than that, I will say, this is something I think that I've seen over the years being in a family business. There's often that stigma of it's us versus them, like the office versus the techs, and we don't know what they're doing and they don't know what we're doing, and it's like everyone's against each other. And it's really just not true. To me, it's just a misperception. And so the collaboration between techs and operations, dispatch, service managers, all this stuff, we need to be one. We need to move as one and 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 go through the day tackling all these things together. So with that, how do you believe service company owners and technicians can work together to enhance the overall customer experience and industry standards? Jason or Pat, either one of you guys want to talk on that? What do you think?
Mine's kind of a big, huge thing. So I stick at the branch level. I have a lot of people outside of my branch I deal with. I talk to on a regular basis from doing the stuff I do. And, I bring up stuff to them, and they are happy to hear what I have to say and to try to work if what I'm saying, if it's a viable option, or, if I'm bringing something to the table that they haven't seen before. And they are actually willing to work with me. But as far as like the branch level, I had an issue this weekend. I wasn't on call. I was tied in an email and happened to see it. And I had a grocery store chain we do work for, had an oven down. They were freaking out. And I handled it. I got it going. I was like, hey, I'll be out Sunday. I talked to the facilities guys. Hey, I'll be out Sunday. I said, I know it's double time. I said, you can talk to the office about that's between you and the office. I said, but I can come out tomorrow morning and get you running. Well, my boss happens to live like 3 minutes away. And I told my boss, I said, hey, I said, this guy's pretty mad. And I said, you got anything going on tomorrow morning? He said, no. I said, come on out, meet the manager, meet the staff. And he came out once they were open. He came in and talked to the manager, talked to the deli manager, talked to everybody. This helps smooth things over. And that goes a long way. If you're willing to come out of that office and come into the trenches with your guys and do something. So I'm a fan of bring back ride-alongs, but when it's ride-along day, I want that tech to do the dirtiest, nastiest calls out there so that dispatch, that manager, that branch manager can see what we're really into. Because we'll do a ride-along, and it's like, oh, we're going to go to this school, and it's a convection oven that won't light. I'm like, it's the cleanest call I'm going to do all year. I'm like, this ain't fair.
Yeah, no, I ride-alongs. I mean, that's something that I've talked about more than I've done probably over the past few years, especially. Jason, what about you? What do you think? Collaboration between service companies and technicians being crucial. How do you believe the service company owners and techs can work together to enhance the overall customer experience and industry standards?
I think we could all be on the same page, and I think technicians are going to behave based on what they see leadership does. And I think if a company has a strong mission, vision, and what was the last one? Values, that if they have a good culture of those three things, that it's easier for technicians and owners to kind of be on the same page, and we can all be proud of who we work for, and we can love to promote our company and what's going on there. So I don't have a lot to go on. I do agree with Pat about ride-alongs, but I mean, it depends on, your branch size and what's going on logistically back at home at the office and whatnot. And I think Pat's in a smaller branch based on some of the numbers he said about how many people. We have like all of Florida and different divisions and stuff like that. And leadership does come out and stuff like that. And that's really appreciated, for anybody who works on a roof in the summer and in a freezer and whatnot, to feel valued and seen and heard by leadership. It goes a long way. But if anything, that the company has a healthy identity, and that, again, that comes from the mission, vision, and the values. And if there's a healthy identity and a healthy culture, I think everything jives okay, because, customers might not ever see anyone other than the technician or the sales account manager. But if if the company at home has good vibes, you're gonna put that out there, and outside of a technical capacity, which some leadership, you just don't want them, crawling around a fryer with you or reaching for anything hot, and I mean electricity. But you give them the benefit of the doubt. But I think if you're taking care of things at home, I think we'll put the best foot forward, and people know when you're happy and when you're not happy. And if you don't know your identity because you don't work, the mission, the vision, and the values aren't valued at the office and aren't actually being, represented and lived then we can't fake that funk for nobody. We, that comes from home, So
Yeah.
I think as long as you guys have a good identity and culture and it's legit and no one's faking the funk, I think everybody will be happy. The customer will be happy and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah. And I, and Josh is doing the same thing. We're both trying to build a beautiful culture here about, for us, it's people first. We're really trying to live that. The Malachi Cares. We're trying to live that every day. I'm trying to live that every day and make sure it trickles down to everybody. And I will say, as someone who's supposed to be a leader, someone who's running a company, I do find it challenging sometimes and wonder if the mission, the vision, the core values and everything is being driven to everybody every day. And and we don't have to, that could be a whole other conversation in itself. But then Jason and Pat, if you guys ever have feedback on this stuff, on how I can deliver that better, I would love to know. I have some ideas and some things I'm going to be doing, but I think sometimes I feel like that's lost in it, because I feel it here. I'm here every day. I feel my mission, vision, and values and everything. But I wonder if everybody else does. I do find it challenging sometimes.
Can I say something about that real quick?
Sorry, go ahead.
I just want to give it the reason I'm impacted by those three things, and I might be paraphrasing. I heard this from Nick Cribb at a Region 4 meeting at our office, and that was like a year and a half ago, and that hit me hard because it made me take inventory and account of every job I've had since I was about 15 years old. Of what was the identity of who I worked for? Did they really believe it? Was it coming from the top? And when he talked about hiring, firing, and operating based on those three things, I was sitting up front, and it really, with his accent, it just went right through me. I was like, damn, man, he's speaking some truth, and you can apply that to so many things in life. But ever since he told me that, I've been profoundly impacted by his words at the meeting and whatnot. And then he was just the VP of Cefesa at the time. But I always wanted to give him a shout out and respect for coming out the gate like that, because if you operate, hire, and fire based on those values, you're going to cut out a lot of warm bodies. And I know we have a shortage in technicians and whatnot, but man, at the end of the day, if your house is in order, people are going to want to run to your establishment. They're going to want to be part of your career family. They're going to want to see a future there. They're going to want to be loyal. But it starts with what mom and dad are doing, how are they leading? How are we being the priest of our homes? And at the end of the day, you have your identity, you have your mission, your vision, and your values.
Yeah. And Nick is one of the most candid creatures on the planet. So, it certainly means a lot coming from him. I was going to jump in and just say that I was always taught to work harder until you stop wondering. Right. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but that's been ingrained in me. So, that little piece of feedback, and I know we're running short on time here, but I wanted to at least interject on my things on employer and tech collaborations really quickly. I think respect is a huge factor, right? That goes both ways. And with that comes education, right? I think it's the employer's responsibility to educate the technician, not just on what they're supposed to do every day, but how the company works, right? What's important, how they make money, right? I mean, let's if you want everybody rowing in the same direction, you got to teach them what that means. And so I think that on the flip side of that, right, it's the technician's responsibility to teach their employer the things that they may not see that are happening in the field. So that's a mutual shared responsibility there. And then finally, healthy conflict, I think, is really, really important. And when I say healthy, it's on the heels of respect, right? One of the things that I've noticed in our culture in growing the business is that even if everybody agrees that this is where we should be, almost nobody ever agrees on this is how we get there, right? And the nature of humans is we live in the feeling of our thought, right? I heard that somewhere recently, and that just stuck with me. And so, but that ends up causing, right, us to take everything personally, for lack of a better term. And then that turns the healthy conflict into unhealthy conflict. And that's when things start to fall apart. So if we can reverse engineer that, make sure that, we're coming at everything from a place of respect. We generate the right kind of conflict, then we get to where we want to go a lot faster.
Yeah. Now, I love everything you're all saying. I mean, that's what this conversation's been all about. Lisa, before we do anything else, is there anything we want to bring in? Is there anything happening?
Well, it's funny because Chris Rowling actually said that, mutual respect is needed. Understanding the intricacies of owning and running a business isn't always understood. So, yep.
Yeah. Yeah, and that mutual respect. I mean, it's respect is one of our simple but yet important core values is respect. We have to get back to listening too. We have to listen to each other. I always the dispatch team. Listen to your techs. They know what's going on out there. We got to have trust. We got to trust each other. You got to trust your guys. They're your eyes, your ears. So if they know what to go, listen to them. Trust them. Of course, we have to continue to make the decisions we have to for the things that we know what's going on here as far as billings and being paid, all these different things. But it's that the mutual respect is super important. Lisa, go ahead.
No, I was just bringing in some other
Yes.
comments here. I just put it up on the screen, and I do encourage everyone if you are watching the playback, I had my mic off. If you are watching the playback, to go through all these comments, because in terms of how much we covered in this conversation, it was a lot. So thank you again to everyone that commented. And yeah, I mean,
yeah, and I'd love to go through these comments after
Yeah.
this when we have some time. This might be a spark for some additional content and conversation. So I'm gonna go through these and check them out. Guys, any closing thoughts? Pat, any closing thoughts on today?
I'm just glad to be here. I've been in a bad mood, and a lot of things we talked about today has actually like improved my, I guess, smile on my face now. I'm calm, I'm happy. So I appreciate this opportunity to come in and talk with you, Josh and Jason, just to get some things out there. I mean, we have brought up a lot of good points. We're going to continue moving this industry forward, and I appreciate what you guys are doing. So thank you.
Thank you, brother. Jason, any closing thoughts? Anything?
Yeah, again, thank you for the opportunity for us to talk about the industry and whatnot. And I respect the platform you guys give us. Being that you both, Josh and Rich, have your own businesses and your own interest, but you're putting the industry first, and I respect that. And because there's plenty of work for everyone, and we're in it to win it. For not just the industry, but for our country, our infrastructure. That there's so many trades that that are possible for people of any gender and whatnot and standing, and there's just a lot of opportunity, and we got to turn the stigma or the misconception of this not being a great career path for people, because at the end of the day, it'll feed you, and there's so much more to it, because it goes from just turning wrenches back in the day to there's so many more facets to this. And I think it plays to different people's personality. Like, I like to do content, I like to entertain, but I still do what I do, so there's a lot of opportunity. It's not boring and whatnot. And you guys are all taking an opportunity to put that forward and to invest in the next generation and the future of this country. So I do appreciate that, and I'll leave it at that.
Love it, Chase. Thanks, brother. And before Josh, I'll come to you. Pat, where we finding you on social media? Let's plug some things.
Commercial Kitchen Chronicles. That's where you find me on Instagram. There's a LinkedIn page. It's Facebook. That's the name of the podcast. YouTube, everything. Search it. I post the day-to-day stuff. We have a weekly live stream. We have a podcast. It's just a group of guys. Jason being one of them, a couple other guys, and we're trying to push this industry forward. We got some pretty cool stuff that's going to be happening in the future, and I look forward to working with some of you guys and some of this stuff. So, Commercial Kitchen Chronicles everywhere, or you can find me, Pat Finley, on Facebook and LinkedIn.
Love it. Jason, too, for you, where are we finding you? What are we looking
You can look me up on jasonlatimer.tech. Real simple, jasonlatimer.tech. I'm still working on it, but it'll get you to all my other platforms. And it's Jason Latimer _ facilities. So Jason Latimer Facilities, that's who I am, and that's what I'm about.
Love it. We're going to go check it out. And Josh, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I just I appreciate the conversation here first and foremost. I mean, everybody on this call today is a true champion of the trades, right? And it's because of things like this that this industry is going to be pushed forward. And I'm happy to be a part of it, guys. And that's the God's honest truth. And I think this is a good platform, Rich, if you don't mind, me plug in something here.
Please.
we've got some cool things coming down the pipeline, especially related to, some of the things we were talking about today. Actually, all three of you on the call here kind of know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to get into all of that yet, but, for our audience, just know that, Blue is the New White has a new mission, and it's to build blue collar heroes. Right. And we're going to do that several different ways. But one of the ways is that, I have helped a lot of people over the years in their professional development in the blue collar space, and even in business ownership, business growth, starting their business, all of the above. And it's been incredibly rewarding. So this is a new avenue that I'm pursuing in my professional career, is to offer professional development and coaching to those specifically in the trades, right, that want to get be at the top of their class in their career, right, offering these soft skills and coaching and teaching these soft skills that are rarely taught. So, if anybody out there is interested, you can find me at Josh Zolin everywhere, or bluesthenewwhite.com. Just shoot me a message. Happy to talk it through. Happy to jump on a call with anybody to see if it might be a good fit, and if there's any way that I can help you be all that you can be in this industry, and help you define success the way that you want to.
I love it, man. I love it. Listen, everybody here, like you said, we're all champions in the space. I appreciate you guys' time. I know everybody's busy. Jason is got a hurricane outside his window. He's still stuck with it. He still made it, so we appreciate it. Yeah, and Pat, you're another leader. I see the things you're doing. You're the guy that all these young guys need to look up to. I mean, it's just, you want to see more of that, and I'm excited that we can. I want to continue these conversations. This is not the last time we'll jump on and talk. Josh, again, leading the way out there, and really appreciate your time as well. So, guys, thank you for getting fired up with me on a Wednesday.
Thanks, Rich.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you. Fed Nation.
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah, shout out to the hat. Thanks for wearing that, Jason.
So fired up, Lisa. This was a great conversation, and you talk about the service company aspect of it from the operations side, of whether it's leader, business owner, some of the larger companies, all the VPs and presidents, and then you have your technicians, who are the true lifeblood of every one of these companies. They're the heartbeat, and we need each other. We need each other. I think for me, that's my final thoughts on the conversation today, is we need each other. We need to listen to each other. I love the listening part of it, the empathy part of it today. We need each other. I mean, I don't know how else to really even say it. We have to have each other's backs. We're growing. We're all growing. We're all building. We all want more. And the way to that promised land is really understanding both sides of the fence. And talking about ride-alongs, I've talked about ride-alongs many times. I've done them many times. It's been a little bit. We've been a little bit crazy here, even for the people, service managers and dispatchers getting out there. This is something that we've talked about that. Getting out there with the ride-alongs. I know it's something we need to get on our vision board, especially for the new year as we go into the January, and we're adding new people and new staff, and there's got to be an understanding on both sides of what we're doing, because there's just so much opportunity, and it's all for the taking, and to welcome new people into the business and the industry. If you're watching this and you don't know about it and you're just stumbling upon this, you have stumbled upon the greatest industry on the planet right now. It's booming. You need to pay attention. You can go to Safesa.com to learn more. You can check, obviously, all the stuff that we're doing here at Malachi Cares, at Rich Malachi. But before we go, Lisa, of course, we want to thank our sponsor, Visalogics. You've been seeing it behind me here, scrolling across the bottom. We got Visalogics.com. They have something real cool called Tether It. You want to go check that out. Jay and the team over there are going to be happy to talk with you. They're doing some great things. Obviously, technology, AI, all this stuff is super important to all of us. And Visalogics has a lot of different things to offer. So go check them out right now. Tell them I sent you. Lisa.
Yes, Richard.
That's a fired up on a Wednesday.
That's it.
I'm excited to going into Labor Day. Are you doing anything before we go? Are you doing anything for Labor Day?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
Do you want me to answer that honestly?
You can.
I'm apparently going to a day rave.
A day rave.
Yeah.
These kids, man, these kids. I don't know. I think. Oh, I didn't actually go to a rave. I went to a concert. I got caught in a mosh pit. I had to stop, drop, and roll out of that thing. I was gonna die. Anyway, you're going to a day rave. That's great.
What are you doing? I
Don't.
think you were just fishing for me to ask you.
No. I just genuinely wanted to know. I'm just doing the same thing I do over the past few years. We're going down to Cape May. Gonna hang out with my mom, my nephews, and my sister. I guess if I have to, and my sister. So I'm just kidding. I love my sister. Okay, listen, Lisa, Fired Up Live. We're taking it down on a Wednesday. We'll see you next week. What do we got next week?
So we have our last 3 episodes for September lined up for after Labor Day. So next week we have Taz Sutherland. We'll be talking about City FM and Walmart. Then the following week we have Chelsea Stuck from Crave. We will be talking about marketing in the food service industry in 2023.
Yes.
And to round out our season, we have The Importance of Your Tool Bag, which is with Dylan Taylor and Andrew Brown. Is that his name? Andrew Brown?
I don't know.
Andrew. Yeah.
Andrew.
Yeah.
So listen, we have a great few episodes left, winding down the season, and then we'll be back, of course, next year with season 3. But ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you for staying here and being with us again on a great episode. Thanks again to our guests, Josh Zolin, Jason Latimer, Pat Finley. Go check those guys out, leading the way in the business. Stay fired up. I'll see you on the next one.